What's up, guys? We are finally back with a city update. I know it is long overdue, but today we are working on this section of the city. We are going to be adding 3 buildings. We're going to be adding some details. We're going to be working on another building. We've got a lot of stuff I'm super excited about, so let's dive into it. So first I'm adding this little elevated section, and I've added some landscaping just to fill in the gaps. Next, I'm adding this little deteriorating handrail just to kind of finish out the scene. And then after that, I wanted something organic and natural to kind of sit right in the middle and break up all the buildings. So I've added some rock work, and then you can see just continuing the next little elevated section right here. So now we're going to work on our first building, which is going to sit right here. It is going to have an 8x8 footprint. You can see in the beginning, I'm just starting out with some basic blocking with the doors and some of the exterior walls. And then I'm going to go through and just add some masonry bricks in olive green and light gray, add a little bit more detailing. And then you can see I added this little archway over the door, then went back and flipped it around and did something a little bit different. And then you can see in the final product, I completely changed out the olive green for tan, and I think it looks a lot better. So now let's look at the second floor. So I'm starting with this little balcony on the second floor, and I've used some 1x1 pins as well as these little white Technic bushings I showed off in my latest haul, and I've inverted it, and I think it adds a nice little detail. Then on top of that, I just threw on some curved tiles and then a jumper plate. What's nice about this building, because it's only 8x8 and only really 2 sides are going to be exposed, I only have to worry about detailing so much, so it makes it a little bit easier. Then at the end, you can see I added this red and white awning, which I actually really liked. I think the weight of the color at the top kind of ties the whole build together. So really happy with how this one's looking so far. So now we're going to work on our bright light yellow building, and I'm super excited to work with this color in a larger quantity. You will notice in the footage I'm adding a little bit more clips that show me kind of taking the build apart and putting it back together and changing things, and just to give you guys a little bit of insight in my design process, just so you know how many iterations I go through and how much time and attention is spent on each and every section of the build. But overall, I'm really happy with this one. All right, so let's take a quick look at the build as how it sits now. We'll be doing some more work on it later in the video, but you can see some of the quick details. You've got some messy kind of coining on the edges, which I wanted to be intentionally messy. You've also got some white detailing that I really like how it turned out using that white mudguard, as well as those fences for the window grill. Also really happy with the bright pink in the landscaping. So now what I'm going to show you guys is really quick, and again, it just illustrates how much work goes into these builds that doesn't get seen, because all of this work that I'm doing right here ended up getting scrapped. So all right, let's move on to the next section of the build. So for those that saw my Instagram story a while back, you know I was kind of messing around with this idea in the city of adding some 8x16 base plates in between my hill section and where the beach sits, just to give a little bit more of a wider view corridor and some better sight lines. I think ultimately that's not the route we're going to go, because it just makes me rearrange too much, but I wanted to at least get your guys' opinion and see what you thought of this. So I quickly added this white and green awning to the ground floor. Then moving to the second floor, I framed the windows with these white bow slopes. I didn't end up filming much of it, unfortunately. Now, on the third floor, I used a similar technique that I did for my original sand red mock, using the bars for the railings. And then I've added some detailing to the previous building I worked on, adding this red awning to tie in with the other one, adding some tan detailing. And overall, I think it's moving in the right direction. There's a couple details we'll have to go back and add at a later point, but overall, I think the gist is there. So one thing I forgot to mention is this balcony right here. I really like how this turned out. I like the trellis, I like the hanging basket. I like the usage of the horns here. I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's pretty close. So for right now, I'm just gonna leave it. So next it was time to add more landscaping. I wanted to keep it consistent with the bright pink and the bright green. Then I continued some of the ivy up the tan building just to create that much more, depth and a bit of a more natural look. Then I added a small planter. I used these 2 little decorative poles just to kind of finish things out. But what I'm most excited about for this part of the build is the use of these tiles from the Rivendell set. I think the pattern looks great. It adds a nice pop of color. I don't think it's too busy. I'm really excited with how this turned out. So then I went back and I modified this area to cover up any gaps. I added a little bit more greenery. Really happy with the part usage here. I used the Forestman's hat as well as a green clown hairpiece, so really happy with this. Then I went back and I swapped out the cobblestones. Thankfully, because I have platforms from my old layout, it was pretty easy, and the round cobblestones just don't look good when there's black plate underneath. It shines through, so I'm really glad this looks a lot cleaner. So after trying several different techniques and variations on how to get the stairs to fit in place and cover up all the gaps, I realized it was a losing effort. So I've actually just left the stairs free floating. The way they sit just kind of works. There's two little plates in the cobblestones that kind of keep it in line, but you can see there's nothing on the bottom. It just free floats because I realized I'm not moving this build, and if I do, I'll take it to a convention and I'll move the stairs, and I really just don't care. So anyways, it looks a lot better this way and saved me a lot of headaches. So that's what I did with the stairs. Now for the final building. I ended up just messing around with a few ideas off camera, not really intending for it to be any sort of a finished product, and then like 30 minutes later, I had a finished build. So I really like how it turned out. It's very simple, but it was a fun challenge to build on a 4x8 plate. You know, it definitely made it a lot harder to like pack in the details when you have such little space to work with. The final detail I added on this was this little boomerang and the curved slope on the roof. I don't know if I like it, but it just kind of fits for now. So let me know what you think. So because I keep all my buildings on jumper plates to make it easier to take them on and off, this means I have to add a little step to create more of a natural transition to the door. And then because I have an awkward gap next to this build in the city, I'm just gonna throw a stack of masonry bricks here because it's kind of tucked away in a little corner, and I'm really hoping this just kind of fades into the background. So now I'm finishing the ground floor patio, and I'm adding some potted plants. First up, I'm using another green hairpiece as well as a dark orange minifigure head. Then I'm also using the fern piece. I'm also going to start adding minifigures to the city. So you'll start to see these more throughout my videos. My goal is with each city update to add a couple minifigures, and I know someone brought this up in the comments recently. I apologize for forgetting who you are, but you asked about if I had any storylines in the city, and I think that's a really, really cool idea. So if you guys have any ideas for storylines you'd like to see throughout the city and with the minifigures, definitely give me your ideas because I am open to all and any suggestions. All right, so here's the before without the new section, and now here's the after. So what a difference. I'm really happy with how this turned out. This one took me a little bit to get my vision right on it, but really, really like how the rockwork looks in the city. It adds a nice organic element, and just the different colors of the buildings kind of throughout. It's nice to work with something a little bit different, and just getting some more heights in this balcony. Everything is just really starting to fill in, and we're getting some great sight lines. So really, really happy with how this section turned out. So apparently I wasn't very good with my filming this time around. I thought I filmed all my work on this side of the building, but apparently not. So here it is. It's a little bit odd. I need to come back and fix it because I ran out of 3x3 curved tiles for the arch, and this lower floor just feels off. So I need to come back and fix this one. So unrelated to the build itself, when I went to go take the picture for the thumbnail, I had to remove the tan little market building that was in the way, and it got me thinking, you know, maybe I should keep this area as an open space and do a bunch of tables and chairs and add a little fountain and maybe illuminate it. I'm not really sure. So let me know what you guys think. I can't really decide which direction I want to go with it. But overall, I am super happy with this build. It's really nice to get a city update out. I know it was a long wait, but as of posting this video, I am already well underway on a brand new section in the city. So be sure to check back for an update, and we'll see you next time.